All right, welcome back. I'm excited about this podcast. Today I am here, Anna Caughron. I'm here with Danica Holm. She is our client success manager. She runs our client concierge team. If you're in the real estate world, and you might be familiar with this, is called an ISA or an inside sales agent. So we have a team of 4. Danica manages that team, and we've got 3 of them and then an intern.
Yes.
And so we invited Danica on the podcast today to talk a little bit about our theory. We're going to just do a quick overview of how our team functions within that model and kind of what that looks like. So Danica, why don't you start telling us about who you are, how you ended up in this fun world of real estate?
Yeah. So I previously had done advertising sales. It wasn't my favorite thing that I had ever done. It just wasn't really fulfilling to me. And I knew I kind of always wanted to be in real estate, but I didn't know what that looked like. And so I reached out to Amy Wienan's Real Estate, and there happened to be an opening for the ISA position, and I thought it sounded great. And here I am 4 years later, and I love what I do. And we've kind of really just grown our team since then from, I think it was 2 when I started, and now we're looking at 4, possibly even growing bigger. So yeah, it's been a really fun ride so far.
Yeah, and Danica is an awesome addition. We absolutely love having Danica on our team. And I mentioned that we kind of call this multiple names, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you'll hear our agents just call it the ISA team. And across the country, that's a very common way to kind of describe it. So all of our team members are licensed agents, mm-hmm. and they could, if they wanted to, go and function as a real estate agent, but they choose this role. Yep. And we function as client-facing, forward-facing, we call it client concierge or client success team. And really the focus of that is to love on our potential clients. A lot of times they are not quite there, right? We've just mm-hmm. kind of met them. Some of them we've talked to them for 2 years.
Yep.
And so we've really gotten to know them, but we want to love on them. So we're in Iowa. So we've had some great friends that are from Fargo that have really helped us. They kind of have a similar model. Eric Hatch's team up there and Robbie T. We've learned a ton from them. But really here in the Midwest, there's lots of scripts, lots of dialogues, different ways to kind of communicate. But here in the Midwest, people like to kind of feel loved on and feel valued and kind of take a little bit slower approach. And so, Danica, why don't you just give us a quick overview of kind of what your team does mm-hmm. and kind of what that looks like?
Yeah. So we are who you will speak to if you call into our office, if you call through Zillow, we are the first people that you will talk to if you call Amy Wienan's Real Estate. So what our job is, and we really believe in speed to lead. That's kind of one of the biggest things in this industry is, if someone raises their hand, they need to be reached out to within 5 minutes or they're going to go somewhere else. It's kind of just the world we live in right now. So what our job is we, reach out to them right away, find out kind of what they're looking to do. How can we help? Like what's your goals? And that's really our first main thing that we're trying to do is just find out their motivation and how we can help. So, and then from there, like you said, maybe we talk to them for an hour or, maybe the relationship with them is an hour long and then they've moved on to an agent or maybe it's 2 years long. It just really varies depending on where they're at in their stage of looking. So,
yeah. So we find this super valuable. If you're a team leader, maybe like Amy Wienan's is our team leader, and anybody that kind of lives in that role, that there is a big risk in spending some money with lead gen, right? So when you're investing into Zillow or Realtor.com or any different website that's going to create leads that come into your database, you want to make sure that you have a team that is going to kind of work those leads. And when Danica mentioned speed to lead, the reality of how, and I don't say demanding in a negative way, but the client or the customer in our market does require a lot of service. The market moves quickly. Like it does demand quick responses. Mm-hmm. And the reality of what's happening is agents can't meet that demand. Mm-hmm. Like just the reality of it, a great agent is meeting with clients. They're sitting down and doing a buyer's consultation. They are out showing property. They are writing contracts. They are negotiating them. They are at home inspections or closings. Like there's so many different things that they're doing where they are tied to that client. They're not going to say, excuse me just a minute. Mm-hmm. Let me take this phone call.
Yep.
So the reality is, you mentioned speed to lead. So team leaders, if you haven't implemented an ISA team, this is really one of the gold nuggets of what we've implemented over the years, to really provide a safety net to know that investment's getting taken care of and those leads are getting handled. And honestly, like handled sounds negative, like loved on mm-hmm. is our approach to working with those people. And when we started, we used to kind of have this approach of like, get back to them quickly. It was okay. We were like, hey, let's respond to any voicemail within 2 hours. Let's make sure we get back to them right away. And that might have been an hour later. And the reality is like, that is light years long. Like that is so not even in the frame of reference anymore. Now we're really looking at like within 5 minutes.
Absolutely. Yep.
And as much as immediate as possible, right?
Yep.
So what does that look like for you and your team?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're here in the office, you know, during the week, but we also work nights, we work weekends, and we're not like a slave to our job. We do, you know, like you said, we are allowed to sleep, but we know that if we don't respond to them, then somebody else is going to. So we want to make sure that we're there to provide that level of service to them that they need at any time, really. So, yeah, that's our goal.
Yeah, as the years have gone by, we've like shifted it down. Like, okay, within an hour, like it needs to be like 30 minutes. And now again, like it's almost like instantaneous that these clients, and we're both guilty. We joke about it. We're both guilty of that. I was looking to shop for some new running shoes this weekend, and the one website I was on, I'm like, I kind of like these, but they don't have my size. So it's not like I like look for another one like that. I'm done, right?
Yep.
Move on to the next website, Google that shoe, find it on somewhere else. Oh, this one's like,
Yep.
I clicked on 3 or 4 websites before I'm like, okay, here it is.
Yep.
And the reality is that's what clients are doing too. They're looking at properties and they have a question about that. They can be on Zillow and hit like, hey, I'd love to talk to that agent. If we're not talking to them immediately, boom, realtor.com.
Yep.
Boom, call the name on the sign. Like we can miss opportunities quickly. And again, if you're the team leader, you're thinking like, yeah, man, where's the money I'm investing in all of those lead generation systems? What is that? How are we handling that? And so our team, they work 8 to 9. I see them respond to text messages and take phone calls 6 a.m. and sometimes 11 o'clock at night. They do sleep, like Danica said, but they are making sure that we have somebody to answer those questions, because when they raise their hand with a question, that's what we call it, raising their hand, we want to answer that question while they're still doing that. Mm-hmm. We don't want them to have moved on in 2 ways. Like if they were doing that and maybe we didn't lose them to another website or another lead or another agent, but maybe we lost them to the grocery store or to their kids' soccer practice. And so we've missed that moment because we didn't respond as quickly. And the market doesn't allow agents to have that kind of flexibility. Very rarely can they get back to a client within that 5 minutes. And so your team is so valuable to do that. Talk to me about the process that you go through when you think, okay, I'm working with these people, I'm loving on them. How does that look when you go to hand that off to the clients? Is that always a quick thing? Is that sometimes a long process?
Yeah, when you mean when we're handing it over to the agents? Yeah. So like I said, sometimes it's, you know, they call in through Zillow and we get all the information from them that we're looking for, and they're like, I'm ready to go now. And we're like, okay, great, we'll get you connected. Other times they call in, they're like, I don't even know where to start. And we're like, great, you came to the right place. We're here to help. And maybe it's, you know, a week-long thing with them and they get handed off, or maybe it's 2 years, just depending on their circumstances. So we're kind of in it for the long haul, whether that's an hour long or it's 2 or 3 years down the road. We're there to help kind of, you know, stay in touch with them and just be there when they need questions answered or anything like that. So
we've had some, like you said, it's not rare to have somebody that is ready to go right away. A lot of people do their research and kind of know a lot of the steps and the processes before we talk to them. But we did have a record, I think, that we said, it's been a year or so now, but I think that our longest record, we talked to somebody like 242 times or something. So we had like, it wasn't over like almost 4 years.
Yes.
That we had this person that we had talked to that many times before they were actually ready to go and meet with one of our agents.
Yeah.
And so the way I like to talk about it, and I'm guilty, and this is not a knock on the car world, but I'm the kind of person that if I'm thinking about a car, I go on Sundays. I go cruise that car lot Sundays when I can just like peek in the windows and make sure, do I actually like that car? Because I don't want the pressure of the salesperson that, even though they might not even be pressuring me, the thought is that's what their goal is, right? Their goal is to have me buy this car. And I'm just like, I want to make sure I like it first. So really the mindset we have about our ISA team is to provide this level of service that doesn't have the pressure of sales.
Yep.
And again, being Midwestern, we take that like love on them approach in the sense of like, would this be helpful if, when the time is right for you, right? Like this whole concept is like to get into their story where they see us as a service. That's why we kind of named it the client concierge, forward facing to the customer, because that's what we want to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to take care of them. So when you are talking with somebody, what do you think those leads, like what if you're an agent listening to this and you're thinking, maybe I am an ISA and I'm looking for pointers, or I'm an agent, I don't have an ISA, but like what do you think those buyers that are talking to you that are maybe a little nervous, like what do they want from their agent?
Yeah. I think really most of all, they just want to be heard. Like they don't want someone to come at them with all sorts of information or telling them what they think they should do. They want you to listen to what their needs are. So that's one of the main things that I've learned over the years, is just to really sit back and listen. And you can learn so much by asking one question and then sitting back and listening and just hearing their whole life unfold sometimes. So most of all, I think they just want to be heard, and that's kind of what we're there to do. You know, like you said, the agents don't necessarily always have the capacity to sit down and, you know, start from scratch with somebody. So we're there as to kind of help start that process, build the relationship, and then when they're ready, to hand them off to an agent. So that's kind of my biggest thing with that.
For sure. I think that is really key. The thing with your team, you guys love on them that they become like your babies.
Yep.
And you want to go and you want to hand those off to the agents when the time's right. And then you guys have a hard time wondering, like, did you take care of them? Like, I want you to, right? Did you love on them like we did? So we do track our conversion rates, if you will. We are always looking at stats of like how many leads did we generate through these different lead sources. Of those, to how many of the appointments did Danica and her team set for our agents, and then our agents, how many of those have you converted? Did they close into a sale? And our team does a really great job, but I think it really goes to, some of them are even exceeding the like national standards of what people would find as a great conversion rate. Some of our agents are like blowing that out of the water. But if you have a servant's heart, I think that makes the biggest difference.
Yes.
Because people, like you said, they want to be heard, but they want to feel like we buy into their story, almost as if we're their like cheerleader.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And so we build this rapport with them, and we then hand them off. And you really have to have a great team that is willing to then take the torch, right? Like I'm thinking the Olympic run, like you pass that off and really continue to serve them and care for them the way that you guys did.
Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about, so if a team is listening or a team leader is listening, tell me what that looks like once we hand those off, like what your role is with the agents and how we kind of keep accountability in place.
Yeah, for sure. So like you said, we've kind of loved on these people for X amount of months or years, and we want to know like these people are taken care of. We know their stories. We want to know, like, did they end up buying something? Do they love their house? So kind of the piece that we implemented about a year ago was that I kind of took on the role as like agent accountability. So every 2 weeks I meet with our agents kind of in different chunks of teams, and just kind of follow up with them. Where's this person at? Okay, you can't get a hold of them. How many times did you try to reach them? Okay, they're really not answering you. Okay, we'll take them back. Or we just kind of stay in touch with them and figure out where they're at and what we might need to do as a client concierge team to kind of pick things back up if needed. So,
and accountability sounds like a scary word, but our agents love those meetings.
They do.
They will come to me and they're like, I am so thankful for Danica that she just reminded me. I totally forgot about Susie.
Yeah.
And Susie would be perfect for that new listing that Steph just brought on the market. And I'm so thankful I just met with Danica today. So our agents love accountability. If you have the right mindset, accountability is like...
It's a great thing.
It's a really great thing.
Yeah.
And so with that piece, does that also give you and your team some like settle in and know?
Yeah. I don't want to say closure because that seems like a bad word, but it's like, okay, we're good. We know this person's been well taken care of. And we know that when we hand that off to our agents, they're all awesome. But it's easy when they're really busy to be like, oh, that person kind of fell through the cracks. And so that's where we're there to step in and make sure that everybody is where they need to be and has the level of service that they need. So
yeah, that's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. We think that this was a game changer for us. When we implemented it at the very beginning, it was like soft, small steps, like what's this going to look like? And when we've really grown and like we do plan in the future here to grow this team even larger, to really love on these people. That's how we feel like we happen to sell houses.
Right.
We happen to sell houses. We actually are in a people business.
Yes.
We're here to serve. We are here to connect with our community and provide a service to people. And so when we invested in this, it allowed us to spread that net in a bigger way, to connect with more people and to really love on the Cedar Valley. We are looking way beyond a transaction. So if you're a team leader and you're thinking, man, I don't have an ISA team, I was kind of thinking about that. We'd love to be a resource. You can contact either one of us. If you're an agent on a team that has an ISA team, I hope you love on them and are thankful for them. I'm sure you probably do because our team does. And if you're considering getting into real estate, ISA role is an amazing one. I'm no longer in production, but I always joke that if I'm going to get back in, I would love to join Danica's team, and super passionate about scripts.
Yeah.
So this was a quick overview. Thanks for joining us,
Of
Danica.
course.
We're going to bring her back in the future and kind of dive into some specific scripts and dialogues that we use when talking to buyers and sellers, and some of the things that we use to kind of connect and dig a little deeper. And so we just wanted to bring you a quick overview, and we're so thankful for you to be on our team, Danica.
Oh, thank you.
You do a great job serving our community and our team. So
Thanks so much.
you bet. Thanks for tuning in. That's a wrap for today. Have a good one.